Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and I'm happy to be doing another tutorial. I think that's what I do best. That's what my channel is mostly recognized for. So today this tutorial will be different from the rest. I will not be doing the outline or those basic details. I'll be showing you how to shade. So this was basically requested by a lot of people, so I just want to dedicate that video on how to shade. So I've done my outline already and the hair, so let's begin. The first step is color pick your base color. So by doing this you will need your reference photo, so I'll open it right here, and you want to ensure that your opacity is turned to 100 so that you get the exact shade of the person. So let's color pick by holding down until you see this come up and you find the most suitable tone on her face. I can't use here because this is way too yellow, as you can see. Can't use here because it looks too pinkish, darkish, so I'm going to use somewhere that looks most suitable. Okay, right here. So we're looking for something that looks orange, you know. So after that, what you'd want to do is create a new layer, and this will be your base color layer. So you're going to place that layer under the outline and the hairs, right? So let's see if we've got the right color. To color, I'm using the medium tip marker, which can be found in the designer brush set. So as you can see, this looks too light. So what I'm going to do is go to the color wheel and play around with the color a little bit. So if it's too orange, you go down. If it's too pink, you go up. So in my case, it looks too pink, so I will go towards the orange color a little bit. And then after that, I'll come down here to darken it a bit, and darken it using this as well. Okay, so let's see what we have here now. Okay, this is far better, but I think it's too orange, so what I'm gonna do is turn down this a bit. Okay, so once you feel comfortable enough with your color, you could go ahead and start to color the whole face. Let's go. Okay, so here we go. The first step is basically completed. We have our base color. The next step, okay, wait, let's draw the lips and then we continue to the next step. So I will make another layer and place it under the base color for the skin, and we're just going to do the same thing for the base color of the lips. We are going to color pick. So you hold down until the color pick tool appears, and then you choose the most appropriate color. So now we have the base color for her lips. Now for the moment that you have all been waiting for, let's start the shading process. So the tool that I will use to shade is called the airbrush tapered, which can be found in the designer brush set again. Okay, so after you have identified which tool you want to use, you will add a layer above the base color. This will be your first layer for your shadows, right? So this will be your shadow layer. So let's call it your first shadow layer, right? Okay, so the next step is to color pick the base color, right? And after that, you will darken that color. So you just darken it a bit. Okay, so a lot of people, they use black to shade, but I use a darker color of the base color to shade, and this is why my shading looks subtle instead of strong. So the shadows doesn't look as deep as you'd see in other artworks. Instead it looks really smooth, and this is how I achieve it. Okay, so let's begin. Let's go ahead and open the reference photo to see where are the shadows. You'd also want to select the selection tool, select magic wand, go on the base color for the face and touch that color. This is so that you won't go out of line. So go back on the first shadow layer and let's begin. You can see that there are dark areas right here, all around here, right there, under her lips just a little bit, under her chin right there, above her lips right here, her eyelids, and that's pretty much it. So what we're going to do is start shading those areas. So for this area, you realize that it's a broad shadow, so you will ensure that your size of your airbrush is broad and not slim. Okay, feel free to turn down your opacity or turn it up. I prefer mine to be up because I could see my reference better, but if you're unable to see what you're shading, you could turn down your opacity. Okay, so what I have done is that I have basically started dark, so I pressed down, I used more pressure, and then I released gradually, which made it become lighter, and then I keep repeating that step so that we could have a smooth transition. So you'll do that for every area. So as you could see here, it's really dark around the hairline and then it gradually fades out. So this is what you want to do so that it could look as smooth as possible. And there we go. So we're going to do the same thing for the other areas. For the darker areas, I am pressing down harder, and for the areas that are not as dark, I am not using as much pressure. You could see a little bit darkness right here as well. So you just want to start dark and then you go light. Start dark and then you go light. Turn off your reference and there you go. That's how it looks so far. Pretty good, right? Okay, so for the smaller details, the smaller shadows, all you need to do is lower the size of your airbrush and get it like this. Okay, so that was the first step, well, I should say the second step, which was shading the first shadow layer. So now we're going to get even darker with the shadows. So we'd like to add an additional layer above the first shadow layer. So, okay, now go on the color wheel and let that shadow become even darker than the first one. Okay, so now that we have done that, we are going to identify the areas on our face that have darker tones, and then we're going to focus on there with the darker shadows. So places like here, 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 her ears, and closer to her hairline. So you could see that right here, there is darker. So what you want to do is shade those places. So let's go. If your opacity on your brush is too high, it may become dark very easy. So you could turn down your opacity just to make the shading a lot easier. could see a significant dark area right here and right there. Remember, you don't always have to go by the rules, so if there's something that looks off, then you don't have to do it. For me, I don't think I'm liking the dark shadow right here, so I'm just going to remove that because I think it looks pretty good without that darker shadow. So let's just go around. Okay, so the third step is completed. So this is the difference the darker shadow makes. So it makes the drawing a lot more defined. Okay, so let's go on to step number 4. So as usual, add a layer above the darker shadow, and this layer will be your highlight layer. So you're going to color pick your base color. So when you're doing the highlights, you're going to make sure that the highlights is lighter than the base color. So no, you will not use white, you will just ensure that the base color is lighter. So after you have established that color, you will basically do the same thing you did for the dark shadows. You will turn on your reference photo, turn off your base color to see where the highlights are. And as you could see, right here, right here, right here, right here, right here, right here, right here. We got some right in between her eyes right there, right here, and her lips right there. So let's begin and shade those areas with highlights. You could keep these guidelines up if you want, or you could remove them. I prefer to remove them because I don't think I could see that well with them, or I'm now able to work without them. So let's turn that off and begin. remember, I'm not pressing down too hard because I'm shading. If you press down too hard, then it's going to look really defined, but I don't do that defined look. I do more subtle, so that's what you want to do. If you find that it's not being blended that well, you could click this tool right here, right there in the center, and then click on this eraser tool. What it does is turn whatever pen you're using transparent. It turns it into an eraser, and I think the best eraser to use is an airbrush eraser. So I don't like how right here blends, so I'm going to lightly erase until it looks more blended. Perfect. If you find that your highlights don't look that bright, you could always increase the brightness by making the color even lighter. And that's how you shade. So now we're going to do the same process for the lips. I would just like to take this time to thank everyone that have been supporting my channel. Thanks for leaving a like, thanks for subscribing, thanks for watching. I hope that this video will help you to improve your shading, or it will let you see how I do my shading. Please leave a like, a comment, and if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Thank you.
People change, but not us. And we just chillin', kicking it, kissed by the sun. Could be soaked to the skin, and I'm all soon. I know she got